And here we are, folks. Yeah, don't mind us as we are in the green room having way too much fun and trying not to lock in the wrong accents for tonight's game. Sigh. But yeah, anyway, welcome, everybody, to the last voyage of the Whales Whiskers. We are on session 4, and for those of you who have never joined us on the channel before, we do run it 100% for charity. If you'd like to donate, you can click on the little link down the doobly-doo. It takes you right to Satchel's donation page. Type in whatever number you want. If you'd like to say that Tall Squall sent you, that's great, but don't feel like you got to. They are 501c, let's see, 501c organization that will send you a receipt for whatever donation amount that you need. If you need that for your records, you can have that. And it's wonderful. Also, for folks of you who are enjoying our music, we are 100% of our music is done by Epidemic Sound. They are amazing. One of my favorite parts of putting these big adventures together is some of the music that we get to use. Also, you will see artwork by some of our artists who are listed down below. Overlays, character artwork, and the artwork of our ship all called out down below. So thank you everyone for supporting us and for supporting some great causes out there. And with no further ado, let's go around and meet our cast. We will start off with Kuma.
Hi, hello, yes. My name is Kuma, choking on my own spit since 1993. I am Kuma, and I play Kato, our life cleric.
Nice. Next up, we have Bird.
What's up? I'm Bird. I'm playing Baldir the Wanderer, our Loxodon Storm Sorcerer.
And next up is Meta.
Oh, hey everybody, I'm Metazoa. I'm playing Koida, the, what is my class? The Eldritch Knight Fighter. That's all there is to my introduction.
It's so nice to meet you.
If you get me started and I can't do my accents tonight, I swear to God, I'll turn this stream around. Anyway, next
I can't wait till the big bad gets introduced to this session and then has a Jersey accent for the rest of it.
Next up is Grant.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Grant, and I play Halrond, Drow Druid of the Circle of Stars.
Check to see if your Zoom unclicked your thingy again. Yep. Next up is Ace.
Hi, I'm Ace. I think I played Duron. I'm not sure how he sounds anymore, though, so this is going to be an interesting night.
And last up but not least, Soul.
Hello, everybody. I'm Soul. I play Reptar playing Otrek, evidently, according to Tall Squall. So that's how things are. I am the party's lizard folk artificer, and we'll see how it goes.
One of the other things to check, Grant, is it might have you topped all the way out on your mic. It does that to me as well. And if it does, it could be that just clipping off the top, which you can do. So don't have your mic slider all the way to the very end. I put mine at about the 3/4 mark.
Mine actually had not defaulted all the way to the end there. Is this better?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
it is.
good.
Yes.
Much better. Cool. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump right on in here. Oh, I'm Tall Squall, by the way. I'm your DM. Welcome. Hey, how you doing?
Who?
Yeah. I'm just that guy. Can't you see we're DMing over here? Damn it.
Walking in.
It's gonna be such a problem. This is gonna be such a problem. I know it's gonna be a problem. So, last couple of sessions actually, we were with the party as they were on their ship, which was currently being carried by a giant primordial brass dragon, Jin Sarat. Instead of sailing all the way, sort of the long way around, the intrepid Captain Biriana Brightbangs of the Whales Whiskers enlisted the help of an old friend to take the ship and basically pick it up and carry it across the mountains that separated the Ceradan Sea from the Cerulean Sea, which had never been sailed before. On your sort of portage across these mountains, which had truly been unexplored because of some of the evil that lurked in the caverns below them. The dwarves had never sort of ventured into these areas. You discovered a strange canyon with this storm energy deep down inside of it. And from out of it came flying these creatures who attacked you in midair, basically like fish out of water up there. Yeah, I see what I did there. And basically ended up wiping the floor with them. Did fairly well. There was a few tense moments as they knocked a few of y'all off the ship, but through a lot of just control between Queta's netting, Duron's having pushbacks, and his Big B's hand, and some fast thinking by Otrek, making sure that the rigging didn't get destroyed in the process. You all remained in flight and basically intact, along with a new passenger, not to mention Halrin turning into a giant dinosaur, and then getting doubled in size by our friend Otrek, because y'all are crazy. Things your DM wasn't thinking of. But you actually have an extra passenger on board. It turns out that a lot of these creatures were being held in sort of a corrupted thrall by a demon spawn dragon, three-headed dragon, and one of these sort of giant thunderbird, thunder and lightning storm bird, an Anzu, lies convalescing on the deck after losing literally all but 8 out of its 180 some odd hit points, and is convalescing on the deck after it had sort of been released from the thrall, and Kuma, our good doctor, had given it some heals. Currently sort of in a, I don't want to say comatose state, but certainly out of its state, as they're sitting, even after the heals, probably at less than 5% of their normal hit points. Y'all, noticing that the storm down below was still raging, went down to investigate this arcane storm that they had all come from. And upon landing, found this strange spring with this incredible sort of interlaced glass, naturally formed sculpture, basically like when lightning goes through sand, it fuses the sand into glass. And so it was this sort of fractalized sculpture where it looked like, dozens of lightning strikes had hit all in the same spot to create this sort of almost tree-like structure. How it ended up here in this canyon and in this spring, who's to say? But it seems to be what was attracting these different creatures of the storm, including the storm dragon who corrupted the rest of them. You did notice there were some strange objects that seemed to be frozen within this fractalized, sort of glass-like tree structure in the middle of the spring. Queta being somewhat drawn to one of them as well. Duron, using shape water, pushed this electrified water out of the way. Our good friend Baldir, being a storm sorcerer, lifted his mast on high to become a lightning rod for any sort of trap that might be unleashed by trying to interact with this this structure, this fractalized glass structure. And Queta was like, well, I'm just gonna knock it over. And so you did, and it shattered into a million pieces. And Baldir took the lightning strike, but it kept the rest of the party from taking it, so that was great. And you all found a strange-looking belt with a sort of unidentified divine symbology on it, as well as these 3 pieces of sort of infused ore that radiated magical power. And that's what we're going to pick up as you all sort of stand there around this spring, Duron holding back the waters that were electrified, all of the energy, this sort of plasma-like energy that was flowing through the fractalized sculpture structure having been dissipated, and the storm that it was creating dissipating as well, revealing the corpses of dozens upon dozens of other storm-based infused creatures. And with that, I turn to y'all. What would y'all like to do?
Can I get a quick clarification?
Certainly.
You said we found the belt and 3 pieces of ore. They're separate items. They're not like one thing.
They are separate items. The
Okay,
3
I just
pieces
wanted
of
to show.
ore were sort of up within the structure, above the water line. The belt, and that's what you first noticed. The belt was revealed when you pushed the water away, as an additional item that was within the structure. If that makes sense. And yeah. So, I look to the party. Y'all are sitting around. I believe Cato had gone around and was sort of doing last rites for many of these creatures after doing a investigation to see if there were any creatures. Biriana sort of looks a bit at the remnants of the structure. And, well, normally I think we'd have tried to take it back to show, but we're not really going back, so as good a solution as any. Wonder of the world and all. Sort of.
Wow, the shade from Biriana.
Hey, she can be shady.
The wonders of the world are amazing because of their limit. So, 8 wonders of the world? How silly. 7. Now there are only 7.
Otrek is going to definitely pick up some of that fulgurite, the crystallized sand, and
Okay.
Pocket that real quick, throw it in his haversack. Find a use for that later, I'm sure.
I was gonna say the ore is there, sort of lying there on the ground as well. Whoever wants to, if anyone wants to pick it up, or they can leave it. That's fine.
Oh, I mean, yeah, we're gonna pack away the ore too between
Picking that
someone.
up. Yeah.
Someone's getting some rocks.
If you
Yeah.
destroy one element, one wonder of the world, you collect all the stuff, right?
Collect all the pieces. You
Yeah.
Gotta
know.
catch them all.
Yeah.
So yeah, you.
Queta would. I'm imagining while she was like kind of mesmerized by the belt that was in the structure, Queta's eyes had kind of like glazed over as she's like focusing on it. And I think hearing Biriana and Baldir kind of engage in their banter between each other would kind of snap her back into place. And then she would kind of take a look around and notice some of the corpses and just maybe start shaking her hands a little bit. Turn to maybe Baldir and say, all of this from this? Like looking at the belt in her bag now. Did this do all that?
It's hard to say. Unfortunately, for as well as I can take these elements, understanding what they mean and how they work often escapes me. Perhaps one of our friends here could learn a little more and figure out what this means, what it is, what it does, why it's here, and why it's with you now.
Baldir, you can roll an insight check if you'd like, or Arcana check, whatever you would prefer. Insight, okay. During the fight, you noticed how the 3-headed dragon was very much attracted to your staff and to Biriana's Stormerang, which both had storm energy. So certainly this structure, belt, the ore, would have attracted that creature to this place. What it did after that, pulling more things into its thrall. With a 24, you could intuit that basically it was drawn here and then basically just started building this and just using these other creatures who are also attracted to here, or attracting them to themselves, capturing them, forcing them to sort of become part of its gang.
That belt, whatever it is, it brings with it an aura, a tension, power. comfortable with this,
Can Queta make an Arcana check just to like ascertain exactly what kind of power is in it?
Sure.
Let me find it. That's a 19.
On a 19, certainly there is, it's almost like a cold winter day where static electricity builds up on you sort of as you scuff around the house. It kind of almost has that feel, that charged quality to it. On a 19, there's also something different. Being an Eldritch Knight, magic is a very sort of cold, unrelenting sort of fact. Magic, arcane magic is very sort of factual in its nature. You do this and it does that. This almost feels like there's an emotional piece to it. That there is sort of a softer, not necessarily softer, but it's different. It almost has an emotional aspect. It does not have that same just sort of hard black and white factual basis of most arcane magic.
Okay, with that in mind, I think Queta would kind of look at it and say to Baldir, comfortable. I'm not sure. Comfortable it's unfamiliar, but it's warm, inviting almost. It feels maybe a bit cold, but it's inviting. Her hands are still like kind of shaking because she is still shaken by all of the very not alive things around her. But I think she's still insistent on like holding on to the belt despite not being entirely knowing what it is.
If you allow it, Baldir will reach out and not like grab the belt, but grab your hands that are holding the belt and basically just put pressure on them. So basically attempt to steady your shaking and basically just secure your grip on this belt.
Continue.
And will not push it forwards at all, but you'll feel a slight pressure of just pushing it in your direction. Again, not like shoving it at you, but just a very gentle, like, Queta, this is the most attentive I've seen you to anything besides the ship's rigging and the staff stage set. Hold this. Keep it. Figure out why this calls to you.
Queta's first instinct would have been to like pull away almost immediately, not really because she particularly wants to keep the belt, but because natural instinct from like the way she's been living is just to like stay away and pull away from people as they try to do things that are like in close contact or intimate, for lack of a better word. Mm-hmm. But as Baldir would say all that, I think she would kind of take those words to heart and just look a little bit, longingly isn't the word I'm looking for, but I guess it's like the closest thing I can think of, like inquisitively almost at this belt, and just kind of first give an affirmative nod to Baldir, an affirmative and determined nod, and then just kind of look again at the belt. Her hands no longer like shaking quite as much, but still kind of there's still a bit of an anxious energy, I think, running through her arms.
How about Duron, Halran, Otrek, Kato? I know you were out sort of amongst the bodies. What are the rest of you all up to?
Are we having this conversation in the basin of vacated water?
I'd say, or certainly, I have no idea how long that spell lasts. But if you're
10
worried,
minutes. That's why I'm asking.
yeah, no, I think certainly you could. People I think probably would have stepped away. However, I know that Otrek was down there. Most of that. I forget the name. You used the scientific word anyway. The lightning glass.
Fulgurite, yeah.
Yeah, the fulgurite. Is down there. So if you're collecting that and collecting the ore, you all would have sort of been down in the basin. But certainly.
Can I offer that we were having that conversation in the basin of the water until Duran started loudly counting 956, 957.
It's like, may want to wrap this up.
Would he tell them though? Would he though? Like,
yes, he would very much be like, it's time to get moving.
Okay. Well, in that case, Otrek will definitely hustle, picking up some more fragments, cast his eyes at Baldir and Queda, make note of the belt, and kind of give a little bit of a nod. And as he passes by, rasps to Queda as she's holding it, "Come see me tomorrow. I may be able to investigate that belt."
So go ahead and roll me 4d6.
Oh no. That's never good. Oh no. Let's see. Having a little bit of problem with my... Give me just a sec. I would like to roll 46 if it would actually load. D&D Beyond's being difficult for me.
No worries.
I'll do it this way.
Yeah, or you can do it straight in. There you go.
Yeah.
So you find 9 pieces of fulgurite that you can take with you.
I will definitely do that.
I thought that was for something so much worse.
Yeah, same.
Well, here's the thing. He hasn't told me what carrying 9 pieces of this storm-charged glass is going to do to me.
Yes,
so it's like
plasma glass, plasma-charged glass.
Yeah.
I'm sure
All
it's
right,
fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Every rest, I'm just going to lose 9 hit points.
There you go.
Off my max. It's fine. It's good.
Nice and easy.
Yeah.
The electrical energy suffusing that water is dissipated, right?
Yes. It dissipated with the storm.
Then, as like this wave of water is like kind of like at bay, Duron's gonna walk up to it, and just kind of like run his hands through it, and then just taste it a little bit. Is it salty at all?
It is not. It is. We're a bunch of engineers in here, so I know that means it doesn't conduct electricity very much. But it is not salt water. It is. It sort of has a weird sort of ozone-y taste to it, if there were such a thing. Hey, it's magic.
Sure, no, I dig it.
Magic stuff. Yeah. But no, scientifically, it should not be carrying an electrical current. However, it did. Heavens. Ooh, magic. Dungeons, dragons, magic
Mostly was
water.
just trying to gauge how close we might be to the ocean, but...
No, this seems to be from some sort of a natural... some type of a natural spring. It definitely has sort of a hard water, natural, spring-like taste to it. And, as you reach out to touch it, having felt this sort of disconnection that you've been feeling since leaving proximity of the ocean, even when you did your short rest, when your spell slots came back, it was almost like when you have a bad head cold and it feels like your head's just sort of like filled with like stuffing and cotton. As your magic recharged, it was that weird sort of sluggishness, that same sort of almost like you've got a really bad head cold in your magic, if that makes sense. It's just
I got it.
Yeah,
it's all mucus and stuff all up in this whole business. It's terrible.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not that sort of normally your magic rushes back, Yes, you now cast music, mucus magic, but it does. It usually rushes in almost like the tide or like a tidal wave as you're reinfused by your patron. That's not how it feels right now. Again, you not as close as you were to this other primordial dragon, but also just as far as disconnected from the ocean as you've ever been.
Yeah. Because I wasn't on edge enough about that.
Yeah. Haran, Kato.
So Howron would have been helping Kato with the last rites for all these poor creatures that were controlled by the demon spawn dragon. That seems like a natural thing for him to be doing at this point. And I imagine that'll take us quite some time, given how many you described were in the area.
Yeah, and you do see some creatures that you are not familiar with. However, with the state of decay that they are in, it is not something that you would be able to replicate with your druidic powers. For you, Kato, while certainly there is sort of like that initial shock that even interrupted sort of your investigation looking for eggs or young, if you'd like to roll another one to see if there would be any specimens to take, we could do that, of things that there's enough creature left or even bones left, or what I think we'll probably based on the roll decide whether you find something recently dead that would have a lot of scientific knowledge, or whether it would be an interesting fossil or bones that you would find.
I am super down. What would you like me to roll?
I'm thinking investigation or medicine, whichever you would choose.
Can I give? I'll take the help action.
Absolutely, we'll give you advantage on that because Halron's there looking at you and does know his beastie skeletons.
Thank you. So that's a 20.
Dirty 20 and 17.
17.
So dirty 20, yeah. You do find a few creatures here. We'll say roll me a d4. Let's see how many specimens you find.
So D&D Beyond doesn't have the cool little sidebar thingy with the thing. So how can I
you can do
roll this and roll 20?
And roll 20. If you go over to that little side, bar, like where you can do your measuring and stuff, you'll see something that looks like a d20. And when you roll over, it should pop up, and the d4 should pop, and you can just click on that little d4.
That's a full.
Look at that. So you found 4 different specimens of creatures, and we also say they're of a size, either the pieces or size that you're able to, it's not like we're trying to haul back elephants to the ship.
Yeah.
Of specimens.
But this thing's to study.
Yeah, specimens to study.
So Kato is holding these specimens in one hand. He's finishing up his rites, and he's gonna see Queta. And he has heard none of this conversation prior, but sees her struggling, and he's going to walk over and put a clawed hand on her shoulder just gently. Queta, I understand that you might feel some hesitation with this item, but rest assured, these are definitely your colors. They will look magnificent. And he's going to keep walking.
So Queta would have jumped when, no matter how gentle Kato was. And after hearing that, she would say, she would nod a little bit, look back toward her and say, magnificent, huh? And her voice would kind of trail off as she's looking again at this belt. Again, not really sure what it is, but still there's just like something about it that is poking and prodding at her brain.
Okay. So if you all finished up down here, we can head back up to the ship, or if there's any other things. I mean, there is the canyon that lies before you and behind you, and ship overhead. You've been down here, I will say, for about an hour, because we did take the cat nap on the way down, so that ate up 10 minutes, and then up and down ladders, and then sort of investigating this spring. We'll say that 45 minutes to an hour have passed. If you recall, this combat did occur basically first thing in the morning. So I'd say it's about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning on your first full day of, well, I guess it's the second day because you all left at sunrise the day before. So you've been away from home, from Port Saradin, for about a day now, about 24 hours out.
I think Quato would be probably like absent-mindedly a bit, almost, now that she has this thing to focus on. Absent-mindedly, like, making her way back to the ship. Although...
Making her way?
Yeah. Downtown, etc. I think if she's not really, like, certain what kind of, like, stuff might be here, either, like, wildlife or... God forbid, other people, she might unconsciously like pull the hat she got from Otrek out and slip it over her head as she walked over to the ship. And unless anyone wants to go anywhere else, that's where she'd continue going.
Duran is right behind her.
Yep. So it's actually the ladder that's been down. It's a good 20, 30, 40-foot climb up the ladder to get back to the deck of the ship. Kuma, your fly spell would still be in effect.
Excellent, because imagining Kato trying to climb this ladder with 4 specimens.
Yeah. And I believe you've got a couple people with haversacks and bags of holding, so certainly things can be slipped into, the specimens can be slipped into those as well.
Hello, yes, please carry this dead body for me while I try to navigate up this ladder. Duran, you are probably most apt for this. No, that would not fly.
And you know better than to give it to the lizard folk. You're going to come back with 3 specimens.
Exactly.
Yeah, you call out to Duran. Duran actually levitates himself up off the ground and lands on the ship, not paying any attention.
Oh yeah, no, that wouldn't even happen. Yeah. So we golden.
So yeah, Kato and Duran sort of do the magical elevator up. Anyone else climbing?
I can collect the samples. I got a haversack. Baldir would be more than happy to walk around and stuff some stuff.
Kuma with the fly spell has her hands free. She can carry them up, or you can put them in your haversack. Either way.
I'll climb the ladder back to the ship.
Yeah. Again, don't need to do acrobatics checks to get back. You all climbed a ship's ladder before this. Is other than Kato, no one else would have to make a check.
Listen.
I'm glad the DM has conveniently forgotten that Otrek is afraid of heights.
Yeah, no, so Kato, he floats right on up, and woohoo, that's that. So, back on the ship and back on the trail on your way, or
Well, it seems like I might have had to have climbed after Otrek to make sure he actually got back up into the ship, but I think we'd get there.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like I said, you all are level 10. We're not gonna a ladder stand between you all and the ship. So, y'all get back up to the ship. Biriana, you see again, sort of looks up and sort of concentrates where Jin Surat has just sort of been flapping and hovering, holding the ship in place, and then gets the ship headed back on course for the Cerulean Sea. So, as you all get back up there, there is a large Anzu on board this sort of giant Thunderbird that is there, and we're going to let you all sort of settle into your routine for the rest of the day of what y'all would like to do as you all sort of get back up to the ship and it turns back to the west and begins its flight. As you had checked before, about 4 days out. What would y'all like to do?
Well, one of the first things that Otrek is going to do is offload the new shinies in his lab and then begin working on something. I'm actually going to use my last infuse item, and I'm going to create a ring, or rather infuse a ring. Let me link it real quick.
Okay.
If you want to jump to someone else while I get it pulled up.
Okay. Anyone else? Kato, I mean, you've got 4 specimens to deal with. Baldir, you're just arrived up. Queta certainly has their belt.
I'd be down to do some specimen work.
Okay. So, Kato, he heads down to your vast suite of rooms between your sort of medical bay and your room. And as you head in and go and sort of drop off the specimens, from your room you hear something, almost like a muffled murmuring from your rooms. Your room connects the medical suite in case you had anyone who was convalescing overnight. You do see where some of the crew members who had taken some damage but know how to use medical supplies and stabilize themselves. You can see where there's a few of them have either finishing up as Kareth Jadefist, the monk who has some medical training. Basic first aid basically was sort of patching up the cook, Nirial, and Edgar, who had both gone down during the fight. But sort of as you come in, they sort of wrap up. You could do a cursory check if you want. I don't know if you want to throw any spells at them or just sort of let them convalesce. They're stable. They'll be okay.
Let's see. I could throw a spell their way. Let's see what I got.
Yeah, Nirial and Edgar went full down. They are up and stabilized now, but we're in pretty bad shape.
And it's those two,
You
or
also
in kind
have,
of bad shape.
Yeah, they were the two who actually went down. Kareth is actually only at about she's about 20% of her hit points. Lars is about 50% of his hit points. But again, the big damage is between Edgar and Niria, the Black Dragonborn chef, and the dwarf from down in the
Okay.
Frostforge States.
I will. Kato will pull out his staff, and there's different things kind of etched into its sigils from the stone chalice. If Otrek were ever to kind of sit down, he'd probably recognize a couple of things off of there. But I'm going to expend a charge of my mass cure wounds from the staff.
Great.
And I'll throw that on there because I have a decent bit on there. So they will all get 24 healing.
Great.
Or 24 hit points for everyone.
You sort of walk in, sort of describe the scene as you walk in and see 4 people in your medical bay while you are trying to come in with specimens and do work, and there's people kind of in your space.
Is there any particular reason that you're dripping blood on the bathtub? That was not necessary. There's a table for it, and towels, and bandages, and...
It's Lars. Lars has basically wandered from medical bay into your private quarters because of Edgar and Nirial. And, Lars is kind of a dude. And he's sort of sitting on the edge of your tub, and he kind of looks at me and goes, "Oh man, totally sorry about the tub."
It's quite all right. I'll it'll get cleaned. I just need to put some specimens in there for now. So if you could vacate, are you in? You all need assistance, don't you? I suppose I could probably speed this process up quite a bit.
It's a really nice tub, though. And you sort of see where like he takes his hand off his side and like where there's blood sort of just pooled where he has this really bad belly wound and big bloody handprints as he sort of stands up. It's like, yeah, nice tub.
Thank you. And it's at that point he's gonna see, looking over at the medical suite.
For anybody, or is that like just your tub?
When was the last time you've scrubbed your beard? Because I can only imagine, with how you keep yourself tidied, that this would not be a sanitary experience for me to just lend out my tub.
Well, you got to keep the natural oils in your beard, That's how you keep it shiny. So, well, what month is it again?
I'm afraid that's probably not oil. That might be grease, my friend.
And from in the other room, you hear Nerial sort of scream out, just like, "Are you calling my cooking greasy?
Would you like healing?"
He gets real quiet. Yes, ma'am.
I think we're both going to drop this conversation, as neither of us are good at it. I'm going to stick with what I am good at, which is healing and then cutting things open. I would prefer this to not be you, so if we could vacate the premises post-haste, I would be much appreciative.
It is one of the few times that you've seen Nerial. He gets his healing, and really kind of gruff, nasty chef, still with his tenderizing mallet and his big meat cleaver, scurries out, knowing that probably the only person better with a knife on board than him is Kato.
But yeah, at that point, Kato would put whatever he's not cutting open on ice in the tub, and then just kind of happily get to work.
So, as you are placing these in the tub and everyone clears out, so the noise kind of dies out, you hear my music stopped. You hear a mumbling, some inside your wardrobe.
Please do not be Fitz. Please do not be Fitz. And he's going to open the wardrobe.
Oh, it's Fitz. Of course it's Fitz. Well, that broke for some reason. So we'll play this one. And you see Fitz mumbling to themselves, kind of like almost completely lost. Sitting down, sort of knees scrunched into chest. Obviously a bit of distress after having this giant combat occur up on deck. It seems to have taken refuge in your wardrobe. You would notice almost immediately that it's the first time, seeing as it's a prestidigitation wardrobe, that his hair is not just everywhere.
Fitz, are you all right?
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Well, I was scared. It was loud, and it was just really loud, and so I came here, and I just decided that, whenever I get nervous, I just get someplace and just read in my mind, and as he says that, your mind kind of goes back to that mumbling that you were hearing. And it seems like it was maybe... There's not a lot of, books, novels that circulate around Limehold. But there are quite a few popular ones, and of course you've read them as well. Adventure stories about brave adventurers and things like that. There's many.
Yes, things the Cato is not. Yes.
Yeah, in your 100 years convalescence, in your self-care, and he
Yes.
He would recognize that it seemed to be like one of the like big sort of heroic speeches, and you've got a good mind on you. It seems like it was almost word for word.
Cato, since this is a very large wardrobe, as he is very extra, will actually scooch in to the wardrobe as well, next to Fitz, and he'll kind of leave one door cracked just so you can kind of see out. When things would get too much for me as well, this was one of my favorite hiding spots back when I was on the ship prior. I like when I can hide, and it makes me feel more secure when, like, my back is to a corner. I know nothing's going to pop out and scare me in that regard. Does that make you feel more comfortable?
Well, yeah, and I figured this was probably a magic wardrobe, because, I spilled some stuff on your clothes when I was putting them away last time, and then it was gone, and so I'm like, wow, it's a magic wardrobe. So I figured if you're going to hide someplace, you're hiding in a magic wardrobe is probably a good place, and since it hasn't eaten me yet, I figured it's not one of those things that eat people when they go and, like, into like, scary places and stuff. So I figured it was, like, a good magic one, and so yeah, I was hiding and reading.
Yeah, no, I believe I've read that one as well. I think my favorite part was when the hero went to that cave. It wasn't a cave. It was a cathedral.
Mm-hmm.
When they went to that cave and they were looking for that relic, right? That's how that went.
He's like, no, there's no cave. Are you talking about the cathedral? And literally, like you were reading the book, you see his eyes almost go back and forth, and he starts reading you out that chapter. I mean, it's as verbatim from your memory.
Fitz, when you look at something, can you see it even when you're not seeing it?
Well, yeah. Whenever I read something, it's there. And so, it makes it easier, so I didn't have to bring all my books or anything with me. I've never had to. Whenever I want to read, I just read in my head.
Fitz, I believe that is a condition that is incredibly useful. You
No,
can
I'm not
see
useful.
things. You may not feel useful because you've been doing things that you may not be as apt for. But if I were to ask you to read that entire story to me, you more than likely would be able to do it word for word.
Well,
If I had you read a medical text that I could not remember in the heat of a battle, you would be able to tell me that. You would be able to spit out that information for me because you can see it in your mind. Texts, thousands of books, things that we, may have lost to fire, to storm. These things are still locked up in here. You are a treasure trove of information. Everything you see and read is locked away in that magnificent brain of yours.
but I can't remember which one's your summer and your winter outfit when you tell me.
That's because things like that, Fitz, don't actually matter.
Like, so if I wrote it down, you're saying I'd remember, even though if you tell me I can't?
Yes. I learn things by seeing them. If I see someone do something, I can copy it.
Yeah, I'm not good at that. Bandages. Kind of reminding you of the bandages the night before.
Right, exactly. He's gonna kind of. I'm gonna try something. He's gonna open the wardrobe and step out and grab a sheet of paper and write some nonsense, just some squiggles, and he's gonna show Fitz. Fitz, I want you to look at this.
Okay.
Now, I want you, Eve. He gets another piece of paper. I want you to draw that for me, and he's gonna crumple the original one and throw it away.
And he gets out and, okay, but the crumpled one's right. Okay, fine. And he goes and he writes it out, and it is not just, it's like in your handwriting.
Fitz, I don't think that you're cut out for what you think you're cut out for, but I do believe that we will find the perfect job for you. So no more talk of being useless, no more talk of being worthless, that you have no particular talent for this venture. None of that. He's so flabbergasted by what they've stumbled upon. He's going to immediately whisk Fitz away to start helping him with scribing, helping him with seeing these things to memorize. He's going to write down some routines for him so that way he has a visual aid for it, and he can just kind of lock it away with his photographic memory of his.
Okay.
And he's going to leave the specimens on ice at this point. Fuck him. He's found something, way cooler at this point.
Okay. So yeah, no, you begin sort of training Fitz to use his visual that you discover, and we'll just go through some of it. You discover that it truly is, it's written things. Watching someone do something, hearing someone explain something, in and out, and it's kind of like his brain gets distracted. I mean, very much so that when someone's talking to him, it's just this impermanent thing. But these permanence of writing, the permanence of drawings, of sketches, of schematics, things like that seem to lock in. Now, he's not very dexterous, so sometimes reproducing, being a Xerox machine isn't his true calling, but certainly,
right.
That sort of thing. So yeah, so you get to work with Fitz.
Is there anything I can roll to see if he has any magic? Like, is there any way I could tell to see if he has any kind of like magic potential? Is there like a spark that you can check for? Like, has he shown anything? Because he
go ahead and do me an Arcana check.
Okay, not my strongest suit.
Well, with a natural 20 and a 22, I would say that just from being a part of the Stone Chalice, there are sorcerers who are sort of have magic in their blood. You have warlocks who sort of have patrons, but there are many a wizard that literally is just school trained. The pieces that you would see there is his ability to do some of the somatic motions. He's certainly not there now. Maybe would never be a great spellcaster, but the fact that he could basically be a walking spell book would be certainly could be useful. So it's that how to find the right niche
exactly
for him.
Yeah.
So yeah, no.
Baller.
Cool. So Cato is down off doing his thing with Fitz. What are the rest of y'all up to? You got a giant bird on the deck.
Want no piece of that bird.
I've got problems with that bird. It's going to stay above deck. I'm going to stay below deck where I can't be blown off again. No sky sausage. No. Once was enough.
Go for it, bird. I was gonna call on you anyway.
I'm a smaller bird, but I will approach this giant bird. Actually, Baldir will walk up to this bird and kind of being not frazzled, but just a little. It's been a big day. been a big whole adventure so far. And seeing this bird still just kind of hanging out, recuperating, Baldir is gonna cast Tongues.
Ooh, okay.
And
I brought this guy up just in case so I can see what we got going on with it.
basically, not a whole lot of ulterior motive to this. Just going to approach and say, friend, I understand that what we experienced from you, our last interaction, probably not you at your best, probably not you under your own decision. And that's okay. These things happen. I hope you find yourself comfortable and welcome here to recover. I hope you can quickly return to whatever life it is you would like to lead. I only have this brief window with you for the time being. Say nothing if you choose, say whatever you'd like if you decide.
So, having cast tongues, or what languages do you know?
I know Common, Draconic, Loxodon, and Primordial.
Ooh, interesting. So, you cast tongues, but you hear him respond not sort of through the spell, but actually in Primordial back to you.
Ooh.
And sort of in a sort of that sort of screeching bird-like voice, the cry of a raptor hawk type bird. Your thanks. My mind was not my own. It was in a dark, black place. Only the will to take, to steal the storm, to collect, to bring it back to the corrupted one, to the nest, the spring with the glass tree.
That corruption is clear. That tree no longer standing, and your mind, like the storm itself, able to blow and go where it chooses.
With those words, it recites almost like a litany. I am the south wind. I am the lightning. I am the driving monsoon. I am the spirit of the wind and the personification of the storm. I feel that in you as well.
If it allows, Baldir will actually approach, hold his hands out, basically take this giant creature like at it's a bird, not its chin, but you know what I'm saying.
Under its beak.
Yes, and basically bring it in and essentially go forehead to forehead with it. We are different but the same. We are of the storm. We carry it. We go with it. Friend, you are welcome here anytime. I grant you peace and power. With and through the storm, for now and ever always. And he takes a moment just to breathe in the closeness of someone who understands that they're just a vessel for a greater power. And that weird mystery and questioning of what it means, and the weird peace that comes with you don't have to know what it means. Being the vessel means the power will figure it out.
As your foreheads touch, there is almost this just sort of, again, this spark, this generation of electrical potential between the two of you, this creature of the storm and you being born, having the blood of the storm within you. And you can feel that sort of deep sort of bond and understanding. And it repeats back to you in Primordial, one with the storm.
What next?
Before the corrupted one, that canyon below was my territory. Before my nest was corrupted, my spawn used and burned out. I will return there, make it, purify it with the power of the storm, of wind and water and fire, lightning. Make it a place of sanctuary instead of a trap that it has been.
Baldir will nod, and he will say, Desto Salasa. Happy homecoming, brother. Go home.
It nods to you, and you see it is still not quite probably ready to fly away yet. I will return, but I will accompany you until you are out of this area. My eyes know this land. My spirit knows what dangers might lie ahead and can steer you away from any treacherous encounters that may lie ahead.
And with that alone, Baldir will go from very serious and insightful to, so you're staying for a minute. Great. Let me see how I can make you more comfortable and welcome here. And he will start heading down to his quarters, and he's got another friend to share some fine herbs with. So he will start working on that.
Sweet. Cool. So, I know Otrek was heading, curious, has got oars. We've got Queta with a belt. We've got Duran. I don't know what, Duran and Harem, what are y'all up to? Or do we can cross over to Otrek and Queta. Whoever wants to go next. I will say, with the additional guidance and having made friends with the Anzu, which was one of the things that you could do along this way, you basically have clear sailing for the next 4 days, as it will be your guide and basically will shadow you and help fly you away from any additional encounters over the next 4 days to get you to your destination. So it will convalesce today, but by tomorrow, after a long rest, even through the night, it will be able to fly alongside the whale's Whiskers on its journey, and with its knowledge and with uber perception on sight perception, can keep you clear of any further dangers that lie in the mountains. So good for you.
So, having seen Baldir have this, primordial moment with the Anzu, and recognizing, not the content of the conversation by any means, but simply the gravity of the moment, Halran will turn away to give them as much space as you can have on the ship's deck, I guess, and climb into his customary spot in the crow's nest.
Okay.
And so, since we have this clear sailing, and it appears to Howron at least that the Anzu will help guide them through the rest of this area to reach the far seas, he'll take some time to update his star map.
Okay.
It's it's part of the class features. It's a piece of crystal that when you shine light through it, projects the map. And so previously it was just in areas that the whale's whiskers had sailed through, or that Howron himself had traveled. So the sky here is different, and he needs to take the time to make sure that his map reflects that, so that when we finally land in the water, he can start navigating.
Cool. And we can actually jump to the map at whatever point that Halran and Duran want to get together. We can sort of have them help navigate over the 4 days of kind of where you want to come into the Cerulean Sea from. I'm seeing you take a breath, Ace. You ready to go?
So Duran is going to, y'all are gonna probably see that little magic where while this watery portal appears in front of, beneath him, and he just kind of like steps through it. And I'm actually gonna dimension door onto the top of Jin Surat.
Okay.
And being within 30 feet of him, I'm going to say to him with my mind, may I ask you a question?
You sort of hear in your mind, it's like a sort of dry desert storm. This deep, sort of booming, roaring voice. Yes, what is it that you wish to know of me, friend of Biriana?
I'm trying to think of how to word this, knowing probably having a, maybe except for Biriana, a better idea of just like the immensity of the power of the person that's carrying us. I think he would choose his words very carefully and I guess think back to him. You are aware of Shimindala, yes, and know that we are headed to his domain.
There is a there is a moment where you feel the name Shimindala means nothing to him, but in Jin Surat's not understanding, you can feel. Let's see. Wait. You feel. Actually, do me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh God. Okay. Oh, that's a 2 plus nothing. So a 2. I'm gonna go ahead and add my thing to it. That's what it is. It's a D4. I don't think that's gonna matter. I don't think that anything's gonna save me. No, that makes it a 4.
You feel Genserat probe into your mind as he is basically reading your thoughts and trying to pull from you what it is that of which you speak. And I know of many other primordials. I have not crossed paths with this Shimandala or know where he roams. My intent is not to tarry at our destination, but you feel that probe into your mind. What you have done here for them, you walk a dangerous path. Are you friend of Biriana or foe?
Knowing that he's reading my mind, I will respond truthfully. Biriana is a means to an end. And as long as our goals are aligned, then we are.
But is that end your own, or is it that of another's? And you see this blue shadow beneath the waves, and you find yourself back on the deck of the ship.
Oh. Okay. Anyone who sees Duran at this point is probably noticing he popped out of nowhere and immediately heads straight to his cabin.
Anyone else?
I don't know if I want to follow that up.
I was gonna say Otrek, Queta. I mean,
I'm gonna give that one to Queta.
I've been sitting on that for a while.
Yeah, you've got this. You got a belt, and your ship's got some repairs to do. So there's some stuff you can be busying yourself with.
Right.
Unless you're distracted.
Yes, Haran is still in the crow's nest, updating his star map. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Okay. If he is up there, then he will probably. I mean, if you're like noticing things, he'll probably notice that Queta is walking up and kind of doing repairs, and I'm saying doing repairs in quotes for a sec, which will become apparent, on like the crow's nest. She'll walk up behind Haran, her carpenter tools in her hand, and say, "Oh, Haran, perfect. How is the map? What is your progress on that?" And while she's asking that, she'll be like absentmindedly tapping at the, like, I can't even call it like actually doing repairs, like hammering in nails. She's like absentmindedly tapping at the mast and like looking at the mast. as she asks that question.
Halron turns to look at Kata with his creepy reptile adaptation eyes, since it's still bright out, and says, "The map is coming along well. Thank you. How go the repairs?"
Huh? She says, still kind of just like absentmindedly like hitting. If Haran looked, he would see Koida's almost like hitting a nail that isn't there, and just like absentmindedly like repeating that motion as she's standing up there, just kind of like clearly her mind is elsewhere, you know.
Yeah. So it is bright out, but Hauron remains perceptive and hopefully notices Kata's
You
behavior.
wouldn't miss this.
Yeah, it seems hard to. And so maybe after a couple more taps, he'll put a hand out, not touch the hammer or Kata or anything, but just to indicate like, hey, maybe stop for a second and say, so have you figured out anything else about what we found down in the spring? It seems to be preoccupying you.
Well, she'll say, and she'll start to hand off her tools to someone who isn't there, and they will fall to the bottom of the deck. They will fall. Like, there is no servant right now.
Yeah.
Well,
Lars looks up from the ballista. Hey! Dude! Like, watch what you're doing, man.
Yeah, she doesn't even register what Lars says, and she just continues. Well, actually, I've been... I don't even think I had the time to think about that. There's just... Between the beasts and the ship, and now this belt, and the map and the portal, and there's just so much to keep track of, and there's only so much I can do. And then I think because she knows she'll have to go down and grab her carpenter's tools again, because she does want to work on the crow's nest a bit, she'll actually look around at like any of the masts and see if she can like patch them up with her weaver's tools really quick. So she'll Haran will see her slowly start to pull them out as she's like saying all of this.
Yeah, all of a sudden Quaid's got a loom up here where there's basically no sails, lots of wood, and pulls out a loom.
Kata, you're right that there's only so much that you can do, and that we've seen and experienced quite a lot in just a day and a half. And at that, he'll gesture up to the massive form of Jin Surat that still, of course, looms over the entire ship. And he'll say, but it's not just you that's here to deal with all these things. And then we'll turn to gesture towards everyone on deck. Is it fair to assume that some, if not all, of the crew are also participating in fixing some of the rigging?
Absolutely. I mean, anyone, certainly after Cato cast his mass cure wounds on them, people are getting back to sort of their routine. You see Lars down there working on the ballista, which had been pretty badly damaged. You see, Edgar, just sort of general handyman dwarf, just, doing what he can. If nothing else, you had a giant wave of water splash across the deck that washed Otrek off board. So there's just a lot of stuff out of place. There's lots of ropes that need to be sort of restowed. I mean, there's always a rope, to coil or whatever on a ship. So there's a lot of sort of busy work going around. You do see Jade Fist. She is the monk. She up in the rigging, running around sort of doing what, again, just trying to get things in order where they're things, when it's a straight replacement of things, able to replace those. So yes, the rest of the crew is out there doing their thing.
Good. And so after indicating this, Halvaran will suggest that perhaps, as invaluable as your work building all this rigging was, maybe the best thing you could do is figure out what's going on with the belt for a time.
Queta will kind of listen to that, and absentmindedly, like, she'll be like, you know what? Maybe you're correct, Harlan. Maybe I'm just trying to focus on too much at once. She'll start to hand off her loom to someone else who also isn't there, and it will also fall down to the deck.
I'll try to catch this one. This one I understand what's going to happen.
Do me a dexterity check to see if you can snatch it before it falls, and Lars has to dodge again. On a 14, we'll let you catch it.
Cool.
You were anticipating it.
Hand it back to Kata with a look that's designed to emphasize my point.
She'll take it back, just kind of realizing how out of it she is at this point, and think, you know, maybe I should actually just you are right. I think maybe I can leave the structure of the ship to the rest of the crew for the moment. Thank you, she'll say. She'll prepare her rope of climbing and just like use that to kind of quickly descend down, as opposed to like walking all the way down the stairs.
Okay.
Of the
down the
crow's
rope.
nest.
The rope rigging. Yeah.
And then I guess first of all, pick up the tools that she totally almost threw at Lars, and probably just
you really should be more careful with those, you know.
She'll her mind is kind of like focused on the belt now, so he'll say that, and she'll say, yeah, I guess I should, and kind of absentmindedly again wander back to her cabin to just kind of study the belt for a little bit.
Okay. We can jump over to Otrek, or we can take our break real quick and then start up with Otrek. How's everyone feeling? Let's go to Otrek. Let's see what Otrek's doing, and then we'll do it. So I found this music, which I just felt was Otrek.
Are you going to?
Was
are you
Otrek
going to?
music?
You're going to do this.
No, I'm not doing what you think I'm doing.
Okay, cool.
I just thought it was very Otrek-y.
Okay. I've already been slandered enough, but
yes, you
we'll
have.
let it go.
I did not pull up Reptar.
All right.
This reminded me just of sort of slapping on flap.
Just don't throw me in the air all the time. It's fine. No, Otrek is going to be working on a number of different projects. In his lab, I suppose we could call it, or workshop, there's always something going on. One or two different things that he's juggling. Right now, repairing Scut, his mechanical crab, because Scut took a beating. That's going to require the mending cantrip, which I've got. Use that until he's good. Then I'm going to be poking at these pieces of ore and the fulgurite that I've acquired, seeing if there's any way that I could maybe work them into either the staff or any of the other projects. I'm really thinking about this fulgurite as an anchor for energy, and I know that staff has to do that. So I'm wondering, is there ways that I could use this to incorporate it into this work? Maybe use them as, I don't know, like a fuse or something.
Okay.
Do you want me to roll anything?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I want you to roll all kinds of things.
No. It's gone all wrong.
Let's start off with an Arcana check. We'll start off with the fulgurite, just because, and you know, the staff sort of being on your mind. And I think Otrek sounds like he basically is one of those people who has multiple parallel projects happening at the same time. So you futz around with a little bit, doing your things with Scott, and then sort of you'll get this breakthrough of and back to the fold right, and sort of and the staff. And so roll me an Arcana check. We'll call it a Eureka check for some. We'll actually probably we'll start with 1. So 16, yeah, you kind of get that first sort of idea of, okay, I saw this holding this arcane energy, this sort of plasma energy. But with a 16, it said you got a plus 12. That means this one we're going to say was just sort of the
wait. There's an idea.
There's something. There's something here, and sort of you mess around with it a little bit, and sort of set it aside and sort of let it percolate. Do you go back over to Scott, or do you move to something else to sort of look for those eureka moments as you over to a different part of the lab?
We're going to go to a different part of the lab. We're actually going to jump to working on infusing this ring with spell storing energy, because I'm distracted. I'm like, okay, I'm fixing Scott. I'm pouring my magic energy into this. Wait, magic energy. The fulgurite. Go over to it. Shake it around a little bit. Wait, spells. Go over to the ring. Shake it a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, you've been infusing rings for 10 levels. So go ahead and is there anything you have to roll for that, or by mechanics? But let's do one.
It's just okay. Go for it. What do you want me to roll?
I think it's probably still Arcana of just this sort of this arcane multitasking as your lab is coming to life and things are happening. Other little creatures. So I was gonna say you had advantage on it. So for a 26, since you've been doing this for 10 levels, yeah, the ring is almost like knitting. It's almost like knitting for you. It's kind of one of those things where you're going through, and as you are, the ring comes together. You do photo right. Wait a second. Okay. Storm energy. There was storm energy in here. And this staff needs to harness this sky shard. And there's that weird sort of, hey, storms are in the sky. The shard comes from the sky, but it doesn't quite all piece together. So what you tell me, role play a little bit about sort of how this next sort of piece of discovery happens with the staff.
Yeah, so I actually have some ideas.
Okay,
I'm going to take that staff, load up a couple of other things into my pack, and then I'm going to go out on the deck.
Okay.
And I'm going to go poke a bird.
Ooh. Okay.
Because there's a storm bird there.
There is a giant storm bird here.
I know that storm birds are a thing now, and that's something I can look at, and I can analyze it in the field. I'll take these fulgurite stones and kind of creep around the bird, like holding them near it. Maybe out of beak swiping range, but definitely crowding it. I'm not being polite about this. It did shove me off the deck.
Yeah, so I'm gonna want a animal handling check.
Is this happening while I'm around or no?
So you went downstairs to go make things for your new friend. I'm happy to say, if you'd like to say that you are returning, up here with whatever you've brought. So friend Otrek is up here. Let's have him roll first, so we see what you enter into, what you walk.
I actually have that skill.
So on a 13. This bird kind of remembers you too, and calling for its death and demise, and I think you did some pretty big hits on it.
Oh, I did.
Did some pretty big hits on it, so it's definitely giving you the side eye. As Baldir, you come out on deck, and Otrek has contraptions and things.
There are whirling gears.
There are
sparks.
And as he is sort of dodging in and out of beak range, and it's kind of like the birds not really attacking, but kind of like when your dog snaps at you when they're clipping their nails.
Oh yeah,
there's a little bit of that going on.
Baldir definitely like leans in a manner to like speak to Otrek first before he realizes Otrek is in mission mode, and it's just like, is everything okay here? Speaking to the creature instead, knowing that like this creature is probably more likely to respond than Otrek is once Otrek has a mission in mind.
The bird, sort of in that high primordial. I don't know, Otrek, do you speak primordial?
Yeah, I do, but I have no idea that this bird speaks primordial until this moment.
Yeah, no. So it speaks. It speaks back. You hear again. Whether you can say whether or not you hear it speak, whether it surprises you enough that it speaks back, but it goes. It looks at you, then looks at it, and looks at you, and basically just goes, "Are they dinner?"
No. Perhaps, may I suggest we find some common ground? And he will set his setup very close.
Otrek will almost drop one of the rocks he's handling. Look up at this bird shocked. Listen to what it says. Hear his good friend say, "We need to find common ground." And he will say to Baldir, "Is it dinner?" In primordial. Yeah, I'm doing that to the bird.
Yeah, the bird kind of.
We'll find common ground on eating each other. That's fine.
We have all tired of eating fish, I assure you. But
I agree.
There is plenty that can be had. And instead of dinner, please let us focus on the now. We've all survived a very wild experience. Otrek, my friend here, I promise meant nothing by what happens. Sometimes thoughts, feelings, and other beings corrupt our very core. And it takes a situation like the one we just experienced to cleanse ourselves. And my friend, I apologize if Otrek is a little forward. He is nothing but determined in his quest to move everything forward at all times. And while that is beautiful and should be celebrated, it also comes with some intrusions into manners. Let us all sit and maybe have one moment together before we poke, prod, or decide to kill each other again. And should we, after this moment, raise arms, raise beaks, raise weapons, raise spells, so be it. But I do believe in this singular moment, we all can come together over fine taste. And he will begin to light.
Starting to light up the hookah. On that note, before we were sharing a hookah with a giant storm bird that we were fighting last time, why seduce? Why you don't need a bard? You just need a Luxodon.
Right.
We're gonna take our break before we come back to this scene on deck, and I find appropriate music for sharing a hookah with an Anzu Stormbird.
You signed up for this.
I did sign up for this. I said swashbuckling circus adventure, and here we have it. So we will be right back, folks. See you in about 5 minutes. So, we are back, folks, and we're gonna pick up our story pretty much where we were. For the sake of mood and all that good kind of stuff, we're gonna say that most of the day has sort of passed. We are approaching sunset. It took time to do work with Fitz, to the first interactions with the bird, with the Anzu. Working in the lab, updating the map, speaking to Jin Surat, all those type of things. So, again, for the sake of story, we're going to have, the day's slowing down. It's 4:20, and maybe a little later, and right. The name of it's called Laid. I won moods. I called this Laid Back Sunset. I think that's about perfect for the mood. So, I figure Baldir kind of has a bit of a presentation and sort of ritual around when he's about to share his hookah with new friends, with a new friend and an old friend. So you have sort of brought your hookah, some of your best tobacco, and stuff, and things, whatever, brought your best, or whatever you felt appropriate for your new Anzu, this giant bird. I mean, it's a big bird, and Otrek, who is sort of trying to get things done. It's been a busy day. You're looking for a breakthrough. Nothing quite works, like letting the mind relax a little bit to let it open further. The rest of you all, Hallred certainly up there, you could sort of see this starting to pull together. Kato and Fitz, he's great, but Fitz can sometimes be a lot. If you needed a break and whether you would stroll on deck or whether you'd work on your specimens, whatever, anyone is welcome to join up on deck as our focus switches over to Baldir as he brings friends old and new alike together here on the deck of the Whale's Whiskers as it flies over the mountains.
I'll just say with this, Baldir greeting the Anzu with this. There's no grand ceremony or anything necessarily, but there is the same greeting that I'm sure he gave Otrek. That is just, my friend, welcome and thank you for enjoying this with me and with us. All I ask of you is to solemnly and sincerely partake, enjoy, and experience this moment. Open yourself to everything that comes with it. Feel free to unload any burdens, any boisterous memories, laughs, any thoughts, and partake fully, consciously, and healthily with us, now and here. And basically sets things alight to just be like, we're in this. Baldir is all about living in the moment, so please experience this truly and wholly with him and everyone else who decides to join.
I'll turn it over to Otrek first because the Anzu's never had friends like y'all before.
Yeah, we're definitely going to wrap our scaly lips around the hookah pipe, take a good old draw, and then slowly, over the course of probably 5 minutes, just let that percolate in there, because I don't have to breathe for 10 minutes. So we can just hold that for a while.
Love it. I think the bird doesn't quite know what's going on exactly, but is invested in Baldir. Still side-eyeing Otrek a little bit, and does Otrek sort of like pass the pipe? Does he hand it back to Baldir?
I mean, if he's in rotation, he's in rotation. It goes to the Anzu, man. You don't bogart it.
Pass over, and so the Anzu, having watched you, but I mean, it's not like he's got hands. He just sort of, if you offer it out, sort of takes it in its beak and sort of holds its breath, uses its tongue to move it over the other side, and sort of hands it over to Baldir. And you see there's a little bit of a cough, but again, he does sort of this whole, one of his wing attacks is sort of this fire and soot and smoke, so he does pretty well, and sort of blows it out. And before he had been this sort of really bright red color, you see it sort of mellow out, almost like the sunset. The color of his feathers actually changes from this sort of bright red that it had been before, sort of down into more of those sort of twilight purples. And you see, these big bird eyes just dilate out, just whoop. Friend, oh dear. Yes. Suddenly he turns into the Chamberlain from the Dark Crystal.
I mean, eventually when you make a bird creature, isn't that how it goes?
They all end up the Chamberlain, right?
Elron recognizes the sound of the water pipe. Many decades at sea with Baldir, and having had hours now to update his map, puts away his trusty crystal, puts a hand on the edge of the crow's nest, vaults down, and descends through the rigging like a hunting dog after the scent of that hookah to take his place in the rotation.
And y'all, just so anyone knows, Baldir's got spells for days, so if anyone doesn't speak Primordial, you're getting that hookup right away. So we can all bond on this level.
I speak Common, Draconic, Druidic, and Elvish, but not Primordial.
We're a bunch of multilingual people here.
So yeah, when the passing happens, there's a moment.
Also can speak Primordial.
Yeah.
Ever been so high you could speak to the elements?
Yep. Yep, pass the primordial pipe. So, how's Halloran go about this as this passes around?
Well, Halloran is familiar. It's been 70, 80 years at this point. So he takes a long draw and blows a couple of smoke rings before passing back to Baldir. And at that point, we'll begin, maybe not interrogating the Anzu, but he's got lots of questions, like how old are you? What have you seen? What should we avoid around here? Things of that nature.
Okay. It's also probably dark enough. I mean, you could pull back your lizard eyes or keep them in place, depending on whether...
After exhaling, I finally take off my adaptation.
And we see his violet eyes, right? I forget, what color are your eyes, your irises? Yeah.
I mean, probably not right now.
Yeah.
But...
Squinty and bloodshot violet eyes.
Yes. I mean, we can role play this out if you want. Asking a question. I mean, the Anzu sort of looks back at you and goes, I've been around for many hundreds of years in this location in the canyon. It was only in the last 50 or so that this dragon, this beast came and lured us, corrupted us. It was our place. My progenitors brought the glass tree here. It was a joyful time. They are all dead, though. Those who lived in harmony in the Tempest Canyon. He kind of gets a little wistful, lost in memory.
I'll extend a hand and put it maybe on an outstretched talon or some other.
Their talons are sort of right there, or certainly on its side.
Right. Extend my condolences and then tell the Anzu that joy can now return to the valley.
That is my plan. We must get you to the sea, though. This boat, this is the wrong place. These are supposed to be in the water. What is it?
Otrek just points up and exhales slowly after that first hit. Just points at the giant dragon above. Like, did you not notice? You were convalescent.
It's interesting. It's almost like he didn't. It is of such a size. There is that whole thing of, especially with birds, look down. It is very much, as it looks up, seeing it would have registered as a cloud or almost something like that because of its size. Having not had a primordial dragon do anything but probably a high fly passover before, it's someone seeing an airplane for the first time,
right?
And you see it sort of shudder, recognizing this huge predator. And then it looks to Otrek. Are we both dinner?
Otrek just nods slowly and says, in the manner of all things to them, yes. That's why I left the swamps. But tell me about your home in the sky. I need to know. Tell me about the voltages, the energy, the power, the majesty. He begins pulling out various esoteric things to scribe with and record, an abacus, some notes, a sextant, maybe like a casting of runes. Who knows?
You see, do you pull out do you have the folder right with you?
Yeah, I do, and I would have it out, and that's probably going to get me in trouble.
So it looks and sees Volderite, and you see it sort of look to you, then look at it, and seeing the broken pieces. Such is the way of things. They are born, they live, they die, and then they, looks to you, become something else. Just like the bones go into the ground and become fertile place where then the animals graze for us to eat. The glass tree must live on. What do you plan to do with the bones of the glass tree?
Otrek will cast a scaly claw back along the boat towards where Bariana typically makes her post.
Yep.
Probably framed in some sort of eldritch light from the makings of the engine in the back.
Yeah.
And he will say to this Anzu, all things pass. All things are food to another thing. What persists are the ideas, the dreams, the stories. This tree, these bones of life, they will be carried into a new world to make new stories. A new canyon, such that will never die.
That is a good fate. Just as I will start a new canyon, you can take the old to begin one as well.
How can I honor these bones?
Make them live again.
Then show me how you live. And he'll lean closer, trying to elicit some connection between this glass tree and the spirit of the Anzu, tapping on anything he knows about
If you
any
hold
of
the
it.
folderite out to it,
Mhm.
you'll see the Anzu touch it with its beak, and you will see that sort of plasma-like energy flow through it. But then when it disconnects, when it pulls away, you see that it goes away. You must. It doesn't have the words. It's basically the tree trapped the powers inside of it. It's broken now, so the power escapes. You must make it a cage for the power.
Otrek nods, and I've got some ideas as a player, but Otrek nods and says, I see. Yes. Power cannot simply exist. Power must be controlled. Even the storm lies within the clouds. Even fire lies within embers. Nothing burns without something to hold it. I see. And then he takes another rip on the water pipe.
The bird looks to Halran and sort of brings its head very close, and actually really just the eye, its big bird eye, looking into your eyes. There are spirits of beasts within you. You were that giant thing, weren't you?
I smile, nod, and close my reptile eye adaptation.
You see its sort of eyes do a protective layer as well. And I assume you have your hat someplace close by. Because your hat has the falcon feather in it, right?
Yeah.
Or where's the falcon feather?
No, the falcon feather is actually in his hair.
So you see it sort of look to the falcon feather, and takes another. It sort of whoever's if Otrek just had, so he's next. So the Anzu takes a rip and sort of ruffles and holds out a wing. with one of its pinion feathers sort of pointed towards Hallred.
I'll extend my hand and I guess start using wild shape if it's trying to fly.
It was actually offering you a feather.
Well, I will very gently and respectfully either pluck or simply remove if it's already been loosened.
Yeah, there's like a loose one in there. I mean, he sort of shakes a little bit. And...
Perfect. Then I will graciously accept this gift. Wow.
And as you do, you can sort of see there is sort of this lightning that goes up it, and it sort of like has this sort of like shifting. You know, it's like it's like the cool mouse. It kind of has shifting colors in it. You know, it does the things, but it's sort of more of those sunset colors of sort of the sun and light, and sort of with a little bit of electrical charge in it. And how do you do these things? Become the spirit of others.
The magic of my people, my ancestors, lives on in me. The connection to this new world that we have found grants me the strength to transform into these other creatures of our new domain. Have you traveled north? You said you lived for hundreds of years, but we're only in the canyon for a few decades. Perhaps we have traversed some of the same lands far from here.
My territory is not very broad. I stay to the canyons, to the storms that I know, the winds of the currents, the oceans of air that are my own. But
for a long time, you did the same, and I'll gesture broadly to the crew of the ship. But now, we traverse new lands, the sky, not the ocean.
Sort of nods in that sort of, it's a big bird, but it's not used to partaking, and so it's sort of just getting that late in the session nods, kind of agreeing with everything.
That's okay. I'll take my rep so as not to bog out anything and pass it back to Baldir.
Bro, we got Taco Bell coming. Don't worry. No. Actually, no. Probably at that point, Baldir would produce some sort of snacks from his cauldron of plenty from his room. He would probably go down and one of his magical items he procured, I think after his last partaking of his wares, he would go down, and one of his magical items is the cauldron of plenty, which is basically you add water to a cauldron and a constant stew is formed. So basically he comes up for like a mid-session snack with bowls for all those
Nice.
intended. Not fish stew for those asking. I saw that in the chat. That's the entire reason he bought this. He freaking hates fish so dang much, so he'd rather have magic stew than fish at any point. And after he passes out what he has, he'll take the pipe or the the hose from Haran and basically just kind of contently breathe in and breathe out and say, "It's much nicer to have this now as our lasting memory of our experiences together. Thank you for trusting us," he says to the Anzu. "Thank you for joining us," he says to Otrek and Howard. "Thank you all." And he just kind of smiles contently before indulging once again. And very just confidently and assuredly kind of resting back in that glaze of contentment.
As the Anzu sort of rests sort of into sort of like a nesting type idea, still nursing a few wounds, but sort of gives Otrek the side eye. I find myself hungry, but not for you.
You are
Have some
sinewy. You are sinewy. I shall spare you today, as you spare me.
I find lizard not very good eat.
I am... He pokes himself. Lacking of meat. Otrek being just mostly scales and fat. I'd make a good sauce, but not a good steak.
And as sort of the Anzu drifts off, sort of opens one eye to Halloran and goes, he doesn't do that. He can't do that. Yeah, sure he does it. He does it with a wing. You. We should teach you to turn to me.
I'll hold up the feather and say, I'd be honored.
Good. That would be good. Okay. And it closes and sort of does that bird nestle down thing. This giant bird looking like they're a little like sparrow on a windowsill. So we've taken up a lot of time with the four of us. Let's look to our other folks. What are Kato, Duran, and Queta up to? Let's go back to Kato, as we haven't heard from you since you and Fitz ran off. You've got quite a few things going on. What's up?
Well, we'll probably let Fitz have the evening. We probably stuffed him full of things to pull back on for the memory. Kato would probably... He's never really joined the hookah group, so he'd probably just work with the specimens now.
Okay. Do me some medicine checks.
Yeah, let me throw those up there. How many?
Well, we got 4 of them, so let's still one at a time, so we can sort of say we can go along and along. So on a 14, you do one of them is a sort of easy, straightforward one. Is you're able to catalog a new sort of flying winged serpent. And from that, you are able to harvest 2 fangs, just called winged serpent fangs.
Okay.
That while are not do not have any poison in them, you could very easily probably talk to your buddy Otrek to sort of incorporate them in some way, to either for medicine or for poison, to be able to sort of like all but hypodermic needles. They would work very well for some sort of an injectable type poison or other use that you might need for them. Go ahead and roll me another one. On a 12, one of them that you brought up, not a whole lot to discern from them. It is some sort of a draconoid, and from that you're able to get, we'll say, half a dozen sort of strange, iridescent green draconoid scales.
All right.
They're pretty. Not seen anything quite like it before.
Yeah.
19. So on this one, it is another one of these. Actually, you actually have 5 because you have the Imperial Lizard as well.
I'm gonna do something different with that one.
Okay, gotcha. So this is actually another one of those. It is a little bit more in disrepair than the other ones. It is the thing. It is a little bit heartbreaking to you. You do see that this one did have eggs inside of it, but that unfortunately died before being able to lay them. So, it just a little bit more of not all medicine has happy endings. Is that whatever that this creature was lured in and unfortunately was unable to lay its eggs or to create a nest before perishing underneath this demonoid creature. One last one. On a 23. This one is interesting. You are able to, this one is new enough that you can see the injection sites, and you are able to harvest some of this sort of black corrupting fluid that had been injected into it. The way that when it had been injected to the body, some of it sort of circulated, but another piece of it sort of like all but encapsulated itself inside of an organ. And so you have I'll say one small vial worth, or one vial of, what am I going to call it? Fiendish.
Ichor?
Yeah, fiendish ichor. And it is black and just sort of radiates malevolence.
Okay. All right. I checked the spell. I can't do what I planned on doing, so I'm gonna hold on to it and figure something else.
Sell
out.
me on what you wanted to do. I'm happy to help make things happen.
Honestly, I was gonna speak with Dead, but I probably don't know the language that it needs unless it will take Draconic. But then I realized I'm not really sure what I would ask it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey man, I can talk to this corpse. What would I need to know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kato's good. Kato's fine with a quiet night.
Great. Duron or Queta, or the other thing we can do is if we need to move on to the next day, because I know that gets us to identify spells and other things like that. If we want to just have a quiet night and we can sort of advance the clock, we are welcome to do that as well.
The only thing I would say about Duran is that he's been, probably for the majority of that hookah session, he would have been in his room. But about, depending on how long it goes, halfway through, he probably steps out onto the deck and then just watches outside of the group for a little while and then goes back inside.
Is he noticeable at all, or do you try to make yourself scarce?
When he saw you go up to get that stew, he turns around and walks into his room.
Are you the sad guy on the outskirts of the scene
No.
now? Is that no? Of course not. No.
Oh,
So, all right. I just want to say, for whenever you see the stew coming up and you go back to your room, I don't know when the next time it is. It could be way later. It could be the morning before it happens. But the next time you open your door, there's going to be a bowl of stew right outside your door. Yeah, that's it. Just Baldier's trying.
Cool. And Queta, you were saying you were going to go back to study the belt. We can just have you sort of study it till you fall asleep, or is there something specific you want to do? Or, like I said, if we want to advance till we get to the recharging of some spells, we can do that as well.
Yeah, I'd say there'd be at least a couple of things that would play out. So, at some point during her studies, she would actually get an idea to walk up and look for Otrek, but they would all be in the middle of their smoking sessions. So she would kind of come up to you and be like, Otrek, I was wondering if and then she sees it all happening, and she just says, "I'll just come back later," and then turns around, like swivels around, like quietly, and makes her way back down to her room, and attempts to focus. Let's see. So, for pretty much the entirety of her study session, she would have, basically, she would have activated a stone that allows her to just keep going without eating or drinking.
Okay.
She would have that on her. So she would be using that, and she would maybe be sitting in her room with her painter supplies, just like looking at the belt, maybe
Okay.
having it in her hands, and just like tracing out any details she could make out. Try to draw out anything of note and see if she could remember where she'd seen any of it before.
So as you're drawing, you're sort of looking at the belt and drawing over it, and of course there's this big symbol sort of on the front sort of buckle area, which looks like sort of the Spartan helmet, like I said, described before, with sort of like lightning bolts on the side of it. And as you're drawing, you're going back and forth, and it's your hand almost starts to move on its own, and where before you had just drawn the helmet, you start to draw almost subconsciously that weird sort of subconscious drawing that sometimes you hear people fall into. As you're staring at the belt, you almost zone out, and you begin to draw out this figure, and it is this sort of knight in dark black plate armor that you've drawn out in this amazing detail as you keep working at it, and you get pulled back into that same sense when you were down at the spring and in the presence of this. And on the page, as you look down, you sort of see this figure that you've never seen before, but it's drawn out in incredible detail with your training and with your painter supplies and artistic skills. Like every piece of armor is there and detailed.
Okay. I like to imagine that as Quato was drawing it in her, I guess we'll call it a fervor, she would have drawn past the page. She would have been drawing it onto the floor as well, so that she would kind of get up from that page and look up and see like the figure just like in a, I guess it would be just like standing in a wide stance, kind of strong.
Yeah, and it's now covering, almost in this fugue state. You've drawn out almost life-sized across the floor of your cabin. And as you stare at it, almost like an animated figure, kind of like that scene from Harry Potter when they were doing the scene, almost like shadow puppets. You see it move. The drawing moves on your cabin floor, and you see it draw a sword. This long black sword that then turns into a sword made of lightning.
Quaita is going to cast Unseen Servant.
Okay.
Really quick. So she's going to have the figure appear, and she is going to kind of signal to the drawing on the floor, kind of at, I don't know if Unseen Servant can talk back, but she'll kind of think, can you see that?
To the Unseen Servant. You're trying to see if the
Yeah.
Unseen Servant sees it.
Yeah.
Unseen Servants. It agrees with you because it always agrees with you.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
And you
She'll-
probably might have even known that it would always agree with you, depending on whether you're trying to fool yourself as well.
Okay. She'll actually kind of just keep, in that case, murmuring thoughts to it. She'll say, what should I do? Should I speak to it? Should
Mhm.
I talk?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
Should we go to it? And at that thought, I think it's still moving at this point.
It literally just drew the sword and then froze again.
Okay. She'll give the thought to the Unseen Servant to cross over to the drawing. Maybe like stand where its feet are on my floor and just watch and see how either of them change, if it causes anything bad to happen.
There seems to be no interaction between either. It's as though the Unseen Servant just walked across the floor. And the drawing now is just static again, except now with sword drawn, whereas you did not draw it that way.
All right. She will then ask the Unseen Servant to kind of walk over and pick up the belt. And just as a curiosity, I think she'll ask the servant to put it on as well, just to see if it does anything to it.
Yeah, the belt just sort of floats on the Unseen Servant as though it was wearing it around its waist.
Okay, so I think Koida here is just kind of like really stalling, because at this point she can't really think of anything else to do except maybe just like take it up on her own, but she also just really doesn't, because it just drew a guy with a sword who looks like they could be a whole lot of trouble. I don't think she wants to like put that on immediately, and yet there's part of her that knows it might be the only way to figure out like the connection between the belt, the helmet, the knight that she drew. And I think as she's thinking that over, the Unseen Servant has already brought it over to her and has put it within like arm's reach.
Do you want to make a wisdom saving throw?
Sure, I'll go for that. That's a 21.
It floats within arm's reach on the Unseen Servant.
All right. Her hand is drawn to it and maybe is even like touched the belt, but instead of like closing her fingers around it, the Unseen Servant starts to pull it away and just stuff it in her bag. And then she kind of looks back down at the imposing figure. I think her hands would start shaking again, looking at this mysterious knight now. I guess her new guest on her floor. Before she kind of swipes the stone of sustenance from the air, and tries to starts to like see if she can like erase it and paint over it.
So, when you sort of had your eyes on the belt and it moved over and went into your bag, when you looked back on the floor, the figure was gone.
Okay. Yeah. In that case, Queda, I think will. Is it not even on the paper she was drawing
Not
on
even
either?
on the paper that you were drawing on. Roll me a perception check.
Sure. Where is it? That's a 12.
Every shadow in the room looks darker.
Fantastic. Oh.
Under the bed, the slightly open wardrobe, under the table, every shadow cast in the room seems darker.
Okay. Before going to bed then, Queda is going to make sure she shuts like her drawers. She closes the door. As an extra measure, because she can't really do anything about the shadows under her bed, she's going to cast Snare underneath her bed.
Okay.
And just lay out like a rope underneath her bed if something is gonna come out and try and reach for her.
Okay.
In her sleep. Before... I think that's everything. So I think she will probably just try to go to sleep.
Okay. So, we will leave Queda in her room. What's anyone else doing before bed? So we can go ahead and, like I say, if we would like to advance the clock, or if there's things y'all would like to do before turning in for a long rest.
Evidently, I'm not being haunted as heck. Jeez.
Our almost died when he's ready for his trance. We're good.
Yeah. Baldir, are you staying up again?
Yeah, Baldir's probably staying up to try to help make our experience go that much smoother and easier.
Okay.
And until he has any negative consequences, he's probably going to roll the dice on this one. Literally.
Okay, so this one now is so the DC goes up each time you stay, so it's now a DC 12. It goes up by 2. It's a Constitution save, which I believe you have advantage on, and it's a DC 12.
Whew. Okay.
So 16.
Nice.
Yep, you stay up, no problem. Maintain the breeze, helping to fill the wing sails and make the ship lighter for Genserat, so you make great time through the night. All sleep through evening. Everyone roll me a perception check.
Oh.
I don't like that.
Does it involve my trunk or no?
Does not involve your trunk.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Do we count as long rested or no?
Not yet.
Cool.
Let me put my spells back on.
14 for Duron.
14 for Duron.
Hang on one second. I'm going to take you up on that. We don't count as long rested. No, that's not the way it should have gone. That's what I wanted to link.
Okay. Okay, who you throw in a...
Wait, this is not an ability check. This is a skill check. My apologies. Never mind.
Yep.
Forget it's an ability check, not a skill check.
Aren't skill checks ability checks?
Yeah, I was going to say. Make an ability check or a saving throw. So yeah, it's either one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to put it on myself because no one else is within 30 feet of me unless you're getting cuddly with the lizard.
Yeah. Anyone sleeping with the lizard? Anyone? Otrek have company this evening?
Howron's like, I'm sleeping with the lizard. Please help me.
My name's not Tommy. I don't need a reptar.
I was gonna say.
Hey, ouch. Okay.
Lars wanders in, but then wanders back out.
Rude.
I can shove him in the cleaning closet, prior if you'd like.
I'm good without that. Also, you have a prestidigitation closet? You didn't tell us? That's wild.
Wow.
I don't think Kato wants all your shit in there.
I was gonna say it's like when you pay for the spend the gold on the highest.
Do you realize how much gold I spent?
Yeah, you
on
said
my cabin.
I want the most in my cabin I can get, and then add this extra amount of gold to it.
That's fair.
The most extra cabin, I believe, were your exact words.
2,500 gold of my 10K went to this cabin.
All right, we won't talk about how much of my budget went into gunpowder. We're just going to let that one lay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, perception checks. Queda, Otrek, Baldir, you are awakened by the sound of thunder. But it's that weird thunder. It was in your mind. You heard a crash of thunder rolling in the distance in your mind. It was not... Oh dear, you were already awake. So for a second you thought there's a storm coming. You heard it outside, but then you realize by looking out the window or whatever, there is nothing, and you actually have to question, did I hear that, or was it... Did I think that? Did I think I heard it? With your perceptions, Queda and Otrek, both asleep, you are awakened by it. It's as though there was a thunderstorm in your dreams that pulled you out of sleep.
Well, I mean, after snapping at the nearest thing next to me, I'm going to roll out of bed and figure out what's going on. Is there anything I can detect while in my cabin as I scramble a couple of bandoliers about my body?
Nothing seems to be out of place. Everything seems to be in order.
Don't like that none. Don't like that none at all. I'll go out of the cabin, creep into the corridors, get my scaly hide above decks. Is there a thunderstorm?
There is no storm. The night is clear, crystal clear.
Who's on deck?
You see Ollie is has taken the watch. He's by the steering wheel. You see the Anzu sort of cooing almost like a giant pigeon.
Nice.
They do not seem to have any storm energy around them.
Okay. So... I don't know. That's... I guess I'll call out Ollie. Ollie. Did you sense a storm of the mind?
You get the equivalent of a dog raising an eyebrow and sort of giving you the doggy questioning look back at you. Doesn't seem to... Understands the question, but is also... wonders why... What? No.
No, but why are you asking?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess... Oh, man, I hate this. I hate this so much. I guess, pad the center of the deck, staying away from the gunwales and the rigging and everything, because I don't like heights, but there's something going on, and I'm not going to be able to sleep after that. So I'm going to be pacing.
Okay. Baldir, Queda.
I mean, so where does Baldir add to this? Is he not on deck, or is he? Like...
I mean, you can control the wind from anywhere on the ship. So I was assuming you were in your cabin. But if you want to be up on deck, since you're up all night, you're staying awake. So if you want to say you were up on deck, taking in the night air when you sort of are all pulled out of whatever little. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I just assumed he would be on deck in case anything changed or Bariana needed to like redirect him like last minute or anything like that. So
yeah, no. So you can be up on deck and see, you sort of heard it, and now you see Otrek.
I don't have much to add. I think Baldir just looks concerned. Like I think, as someone who is so in tuned with the natural elements around him, this thing happening and there not being a direct correspondence, it's like it's that uncanny valley feeling of like this should seem right and it doesn't, and I don't know I don't know how to interpret this. Like,
perfect explanation for what you would be feeling. It is, everything tells you it should be a storm, but it was not.
Yeah, I think there's just like a concerning look on his face, and he's still moving the wind how he should. He's helping Jinsarat. He's doing what he can, but there's this like weird kind of rigidity to him now, where it's just like this. I don't know. And just this constant look of like, maybe no. So yeah, I think he's just trying to interpret what's happening.
How about you, Queda?
This is a very good question. I think the first thing she would do is check to see if anything got caught in her snare under her bed.
Nope.
Fantastic. So that did nothing. Cool. I guess she'll just.
How do you check the snare under the bed?
Yeah, she's not stepping down. If that's what you're asking, she's kind of like peeking underneath, like nervously, like you're kind of afraid that you're gonna peek down below your bed and there's going to be like a face or a hand.
Roll me a perception check. At disadvantage.
Ooh.
4.
On a 4, you should be able to see under your bed, but you can't.
Oh, great. Good. Fantastic. And how does the rest of the room look? Just as dark?
Same as it normally, just, the shadows seem inkier. Are they bigger, maybe? Maybe not. There's that heightened sense of concern which could be affecting your perceptions, especially on a 4. The room looks ominous just because of the way you feel.
Okay. Well, I don't know if Queda feels exactly comfortable potentially letting out something into the ship. So what she's going to do is she's going to cast Warding Wind and try to go back to sleep.
Okay.
So
Roll me a wisdom saving throw to see if you can calm your mind.
Okay.
At disadvantage.
Naturally, right? Wisdom, right?
Yeah, wisdom, disadvantage, please. Saving throw.
I think I hit the wrong thing, but it's the same thing anyway.
Yeah.
So it would be a 7.
Oh yeah. You're lying there. In the come on. I'm gonna go to sleep. Come on. Brain is on. you are unable to calm your mind.
Cool. Fantastic. But I really don't think that she would feel comfortable trying to do anything else. So she would just like curl up in her bed and just hope she wakes up the next day.
So, doing the frozen in bed. Halran, just because Otrek is not a quiet pacer, and you're usually, at this point, it'd be certainly 4 hours in, and you'd be up in the crow's nest doing your nighttime stars thing. So you certainly would definitely hear on a quiet night up on deck with nothing but the sound of the wind and the sort of rhythmic flapping of Jin Surat's wings. You would hear the flap, 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 flap of of Otrek pacing the deck.
I will rise from my, comfortable trance position up in the crow's nest and simply call down to Otrek and ask, "What troubles you, friend?"
The darkness is awake. A storm brews, and I cannot find it.
Baltier, is there a storm coming?
Everything says there is, except for the deep reality of this world. I don't know. I truly do not know. And he looks at Halron with just pure like upset confusion.
Can I make a nature test to?
Sure.
I know the answer is going to be that there's probably not a storm coming. Halron would check the natural signs, apparently without too much care with a 10.
Yeah. No storm that you can see. And you didn't hear anything.
Right. And Ollie didn't hear anything.
Nope.
I will make herbal tea for myself and Ortek, and a tea with some caffeine in it for Baldir, who's on his second straight night.
Okay.
And at this point, I'll relax on deck, but I'm awake and paying attention.
Okay. So, I gotta ask you, Sol, are you foregoing a long rest?
I'm gonna try and sleep. I'm going to go to my lab, though.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go back to my bunk. I'm gonna go to where I feel surrounded and safe with things that I can utilize to anything that tries to come for me.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna try and curl up and sleep under a shelf or something where I'm near to my alchemist fire, and I can throw that. Maybe not too close to the gunpowder.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna try and rest.
Okay, I'm gonna have you do the same thing. I mean, how wound up is your brain? Are you at disadvantage with this wisdom saving throw, or are you think you're flat?
I didn't just wrestle a shadow monster that's trying to leap off the pages in my deck room.
Yeah.
If you want to give me disadvantage, I'm not going to argue it. But
I'm thinking I'm
fine.
Flat. Let's go flat.
Oh, this is not a great roll. I'm sorry, what was that? Someone was talking, I couldn't hear it.
I was just commenting on the herbal tea.
I got something.
On a 16, no, that's enough. You can fall asleep in this, surrounded, sort of curled up under a desk, clutching, some stuff, and you do fall asleep, so you will be able to get a long rest after sharing some tea with Halran up on deck. Baldir, Halran, I mean, if you want to roleplay it out or just say you sort of enjoy the morning as it comes with the as you share tea, I'm fine either way.
I mean, I think Baldir enjoys his tea because he loves when Halron brings him tea. It's one of his favorite things, but I want to say he enjoys it. I think he's rattled truly by what happened last night. It's very weird for him to experience a storm without knowing a storm.
Yep.
It's very weird. So, I mean, Howard would pick it up. Anyone would pick it up. That he's like putting on the effort to like be, he's Baldir, but mind is elsewhere.
In 70 or 80 years, yeah, Howron can tell.
Yeah, and there's sort of always been this sort of connection between Baldir and Halran, both being one from an entirely different planet, another whole realm, another one from being the other side of this one, of sort of being the only of their kind amongst this group. Certainly Otrek fits into that somewhat, but there are other lizard folk that people have encountered and have even made their way to Limehold from over in the Dracovarian jungles. But Halran is truly the only other drow in this part of the world. Baldir the only Luxodon on this world. So there's this sort of moment of that, that 4 in the morning moment of the two of you, stars above this giant bronze dragon, as you all share tea and just that memories and camaraderie of home that are far away.
I actually, just to take a moment real quick.
Yeah.
Baldir will raise the glass that Howron brought him and basically offer it for cheers. But not necessarily like a happy fun time cheers, just like kind of a ceremonial cheers, and state that, friend Howron, we entered this world not knowing much about it, and finding our place fairly quickly and happily, I believe. But something about the last few hours, I think we're getting closer and closer to the unknown. Here's to finding that together.
I will, of course, perform the perhaps only ceremonial cheers with Baldir, and after his weighty statements, simply reply by saying, "We discovered many seas together. Here's to one more."
And I think in that moment, that's the one time you see actual comfort and confidence fill Baldir. That faith in his friend. And he'll drink happily.
So, as Baldir and Halron find a little faith in each other, Otrek, down below, finding sleep amongst ways to defend himself in a primal yet artificial way between claw, fang, and alchemist fire to defend himself. Queda lying awake in bed, the wind swirling around her, not sure what she might have unleashed. Duron, acutely aware of both the dragon above and the patron of his that lies ahead. Where's Cato's mind?
Cato's probably completely and blissfully unaware of everything that is happening around him. Cato Kato's probably the disconnect, just because he's not the adventurer, he's not the relic seeker, he's not the person that Kato asks questions. And when Kato doesn't know that there's a question to ask, Kato's being safe in his bed with his 15 pillows and his plush blankets and a lovely view of the
clear night sky.
Through a very safe window.
Yep. I mean, this is like the captain's cabin, so you kind of have that big wall of glass to look out and see this. And I would say, I'm hoping I'm not pressing on you. You did have an amazing relic and discovery of your own today.
Yeah,
With
100%.
This diamond that Fitz has become, and the idea of a dwarf who, your medical training, this is a dwarf who's like in their 20s. This is a dwarf that has a millennium ahead of them. And with that mind, that beautiful mind that you've suddenly discovered to unlock, there is sort of a blissful, smiling sleep that comes over Cato as the whale's whiskers, on wings of a bronze dragon, moves ever westward. And that is where we'll end up for tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let's go around and meet our players and find out where all they are from and where we can find them on the interwebs. We will start up with Soul.
All right. I play Otrek, the Artificer Lizard Folk. You can find me online pretty much everywhere as Souls Rolls. I'm a public health educator. I blog, I do Twitter, I stream, I do a lot of different things, but everywhere it is at Souls Rolls.
Next up, let's go to Ace.
I am Ace of Sween playing Duron, the Fathoms Warlock. You can find me on Ace of Sween, but if you really want the excitement, it's all on my dog's Instagram page at flynn.says.rar. Go check it out.
Next up, let's do Grant.
All right, yeah, I'm Grant. I play Howron, the Drow Druid on this stream, and I do some 5e content creation. You can find me on Twitter as @Soclamon, which I'll just drop in the chat here as opposed to trying to spell it.
Next up, let's do Meta.
Hi, I'm Metazoa. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter and Instagram whenever I post there at Metazoa54321. I just posted it in the chat with a message saying I'm Queta, because I am Queta, the Eldritch Knight fighter here. I think I might have just totally boned the party, which is cool. I also write poetry and do music sometimes, which is a bit less important than boning the party. So,
Next
thank
up
you for watching.
is Bird.
I'm Bird. I didn't bone the party, I don't think, but I'm always down to, so holler at me. You can find me everywhere as Bird versus Blade.
Dude, you got a giant primordial lightning bird stone.
Bro, don't invite me to your game unless you want
He
shit
got you
like this
there.
to transpire.
He got you there.
I love it.
go
Don't give
back
me
to
that
that.
freedom. Anyways, I'm Bird. Find me everywhere at Bird versus Blade.
Dude, I mean, I was like, I had a little note of if they make friends with the bird will guide them for the next couple of days. I did not think we were going to have a scene with the bird hanging on deck with the homies.
Otrek came out, prodding and poking.
You gotta calm him down, man.
It's like, bro, I have one thing that I know mellows people out, and it's my
The
great
vibes
attitude.
were impeccable.
Impeccable vibes. And hey, little did we know we were going to end up with the bird helping build the staff. Who knew? Last but not least, we have Kuma.
Hi, hello, yes, I am Kuma. I play Kato, the life cleric, the one least likely to bone the party. You can find me at Kuma the Bronze everywhere, Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. I stream games and DM content and general shit posting on Twitter.
Cool. I'm Tall Squall. I'm your DM. You can find me at Tall Squall all over the internet webs everywhere. Yeah, hope you all enjoyed it. Again, please donate to Satchel's Last Resort if you are so inclined. And until next time, gather your friends together and tell a story, because that's what it's all about. Have a great evening, everyone. Good night.
Night.
Thank
Good
you.
night,
Good night.
everybody.